How quickly do we learn that Adrian Conway beat Rich in a team's comp in 2017? Bam, we're live. Yo, what's up, dude?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Good. Adrian, I got to see you at the games and talk with you, and you were great. Anytime I need like some behind the scenes questions, like in the years past, I'd always use like Bill or Sean or Chase or someone to walk up and be like, "Hey, can you tell me what's going on?" Because I know I need to stitch the behind the scenes together. And I came up to you several times this year and did that. Did we know each other before this year? Like, I feel like I know you, but I can't remember ever actually talking to you. But when I talked to you, it was like we were long lost friends. So
Yeah, man. I actually don't know how far interactions go historically. I mean, I got on seminar staff in 2013, summer
mhm.
2013. So, that dates back. I'm sure that there were either some summits that we went to, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, and rubbed shoulders or interacted in some way. But other than that, I mean, we went up to the ranch in 2012. I don't even remember if you were part of this or not, like capturing some of the media that went down. But
Yes, I have photos. I have photos of you there. Yeah, it's crazy.
so there you go. So we've been in the same space.
Yeah, just forever. And it and and
Yep.
and it feels like family.
That's right.
Like just people who work at CrossFit, right?
I think that's almost always how it goes.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool. And then, of course, I remembered. I'm embarrassed to say this, but I don't remember you being on the team, but I do remember the team that you were on that competed in Colorado because you had that lady on your team, Lindsay, who was breastfeeding in between events,
Yep.
and you guys won, and everyone was giving her respect like she was the second coming. What was her last name? Lindsay.
So it was Taylor. Her first name is Taylor.
Oh,
Taylor Richards Lindsay.
okay, I had it backwards.
Yep.
Taylor
Taylor
Lindsay.
Richards
Okay.
Lindsay. Oh man, that was an amazing experience. And I am zero offended that you don't remember me being on the team because I was very new in the space and trying to learn how to do the competitive thing at the time. But yeah, Taylor was amazing. Just came off of having her baby months before, and a phenomenal athlete who was a Division I basketball player at Utah State, actually.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then you had Tommy. Tommy was the leader of that team.
Yep. Tommy Hackenbrook, the
Yeah,
man, the myth, the legend.
yeah, crazy. Um, can you tell me some of the things? I'm gonna name some things you do. So, are you? I'm gonna guess some things. So, you have a company. You own a company, supplement company.
Yep.
You do CrossFit Games broadcasting.
Yep.
You are a father and a husband.
Yes.
Um, you are not on seminar staff anymore.
I am.
You are seminar staff.
I've returned to seminar staff. Yes.
Crazy.
Took a hiatus right there post pandemic, the shutdown, with where we were at the point of our business and where I was in my professional life. I felt like I wasn't really living the seminar staff lifestyle, meaning that like I had no real tie to full-time coaching and or an affiliate. So I didn't feel like I was wearing the red shirt responsibility and showing up to teach seminars to people who are trying to go out and do the thing. It didn't feel right to me, not being like really involved in that lifestyle. And now that I'm back to coaching, it seemed like it was a great fit and a great time for me to try to get back on.
Explain that to me a little bit more. Like you felt like I'm not eating right. I'm not training hard enough. I didn't brush up on the materials. I'm not like don't have the passion to share the cure for the world's most vexing problem. What do you mean? I'm not. Give me some.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, was a it was a timing thing. So I'm not gonna front like it wasn't convenient. It was convenient for me to not be on seminar staff. I wanted to spend more time with my family. If I'm working all 5 days of the week, I can't justify being away from my kids and my wife again, through the course of the weekend. Although teaching seminars is, I mean, there's not many things that I enjoy doing more. So aside from that, to add to the addition of that whole deal is that oh, there they are getting
Yeah, there
after it.
they are, the kids. Yep, getting after it.
um yeah, I just didn't feel like I was as invested in the space as I had been throughout my whole career. Man, the only real job that I've ever had was coaching. So when we started this supplement business, which I don't work in and day out anymore, it felt like a bit of a distraction from what I was asked to do on seminar staff.
Was that hard not to do that? 'Cause when people wanna get on seminar staff, that's like the dream job, right? Like, hey, kinda like, "Hey, I wanna be a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. I wanna be" like, there's this, like, kinda bucket list phenomenon to it, right? Like, you wanna be part of
Yeah.
this elite team, or you wanna make the varsity team in high school. It's the
Yep.
varsity team
Yep.
in the fitness world.
100%. To me, it is top tier, best of the world. I felt just a high level of responsibility though. I mean, and I think, you would agree with this, Savan, that, the folks that get to don the red shirt are kind of different, in regards to the level of professionalism that they carry in to their job, and the way that they carry themselves, the way they teach, the way they motivate, all these things. And so for me, that the distance that was created for me doing that on a daily basis and then showing up to do it maybe once every 2 months or once a month on a seminar, it didn't feel as refined or as good as I previously thought that I was able to do it. So I with much hesitation and a lot of consideration, let them know like, hey, I struggle to be as available as I feel like I should be.
Mm.
I know that this is something that kind of makes your job more difficult. At this time, I think it's better that I remove my name from the availability list. And then, you know, fortunately enough for me, man, they let me slide back on seminar staff when it was time.
Yeah, that's cool. The L1 is a trip because on the same level that you say talk about their professionalism, there's also this thing that like when you leave there, you could get the seminar staff's phone number and become friends with them. Like you just
Mm.
hear about endless relationships of DMing and texting, and I'm still in touch. It's like they're kind of also like your second grade teacher. You can still like go back and visit their classroom.
There's no doubt about it, man. I get pinged by people all the time that either for the first time hear my voice on like commentary, or they see something on social media and they're like, "Oh yeah, man, you're not gonna remember me, but 5 years ago in Park City, or 6 years ago in San Antonio or in Houston or wherever." Of course, the seminars are everywhere at this point, but yeah, you create some really unique relationships, and I think it goes to even show like the uniqueness of the experience of the level one for the participants themselves. Like they're vulnerable, they're nervous, they're excited, but a lot of times they're getting exposed to an intensity in the workouts and information being shared with them in a very different way than it is every day in their affiliate. So there's a bit of rawness there. And then you add on to that the end of day one where we just all sit back, throw back a beer, have some pizza or whatever. It depends on what city you're in. But I think those moments right there are really where a lot of people get those life-changing experiences.
Is that city by city? Like like if you're some cities will throw back a beer, some cities now you don't throw back a beer.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, when we're here in Salt Lake City, you'll get a few that stick around and throw back a beer. Park City, same thing. But to be honest, when we have them here in Utah, it seems like so many people come from close areas
Mhm.
that like that when the day's done,
They're
they
gone home.
bounce to their
Okay.
families.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Versus, in more major market cities, it seems that people travel further to come, or a destination type city, and they're there. And so when the day ends, they're like, I'm just gonna go back to my hotel anyways. So I'd rather sit here and hang out with you guys.
Right. Sam E. Adrian taught my L1 in September. The dude is a literal wealth of knowledge. It's unbelievable. Barry McCockiner, Mormons love beer. I can't. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true.
They might the ones that give it a go, they might learn to.
Okay. Games athlete, individual, masters, and team.
Yep.
But so that is there any games in the future for you? Games
I mean,
participation.
I don't know. I think the beauty of our sport is that I love the methodology and I love to train. I'm a complete gym rat. There have been periods in my life throughout the last 5 or 6 years where my presence in the gym has been the least it's been in my entire adult life. Um,
Is
and
that
I hate
still
those
every
times.
day? Is that still every day
Yeah.
when you
Oh
say
yeah.
the least? Yeah.
Yeah, 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 every day, and I'll try to intentionally, take a Sunday and not go in the garage and not do anything. But if it's my choice and my time is available, like I'm in the gym, you know, if the evenings appear, like last night, for example, my kids are of age and we've got a great neighborhood where they're outside throwing down with their friends. My wife's reading a book. Well, I'm gonna go in the garage and do
Yeah.
something because I'm bored and that's all I got left to do for the day.
Right.
So I love it.
So you hate injury. It's like your therapist is out of town.
Man, I'll tell you what, throughout the years, I've always been injured.
Oh,
So yes, I hate injury. Yes, I hate injury, but also I completely understand how to train around injury, and I'm not going to let it keep me out of the gym.
right,
And I'm going to
right.
still get what I need to get from the gym. I'm going to scale accordingly. Um, but man, yeah, injury has been a very much a pivotable or pivot, yeah, pivoting time in my life. Every time that I've sustained a pretty significant injury. So yeah, I do not
What's the
like it.
worst injury you've had?
I tore a pretty severe tendon in my right ankle in college. That I got 2 screws in my right ankle to repair or to keep down. I tore the MCL in my elbow, which
Oh,
was one of the
you have an
most.
MCL in your elbow?
Yeah, man, you do.
Interesting.
Um, so I was like engaged blocking someone,
Mhm.
and someone else hit my elbow, and it drove it inside towards the other elbow. So it like hyperextended, and it pulled the elbow in medially, and I didn't have to get it surgically repaired, but I did have to wear like a, one of those deals that lock me into place for a while. Yeah, that
Did you
was
know
the
you were injured right away?
when it happened, yeah, because immediately I tried to. So the situation was that I was out on the field. This was like a second down. We passed the ball, and I was in pass protection, so I was blocking a linebacker, and it happened, and I just grabbed my arm immediately, and it started to feel heavy, like pain. Okay, I get, but then like the response after was like it started to feel heavy. It was like filling with blood really quick, and then so third down was the next play, but it was a third and short. And so I tried to stay in the game to carry the ball one more time because it was my left arm, and I could take the handoff with my right arm and still try to run a ball. Um, and I was able to carry the ball. I was able to still kind of do what I needed to do as a running back. I just couldn't use my left arm to like stiff arm or, you know, evade the tackle. But after that play, I knew something was serious, and it was done. It put me out most of that season.
Damn. But you kept working out. You just worked out around it. Even then you knew.
Yeah, man. Even then, so in college, when you're injured, there's not much going on. There's not much you can do. You still go to practice. You still watch film. You still do everything. And because my identity at that point in my life was already like I'm just the hardest worker,
Mm.
I was going to continue to be that. So I was going to go into the gym with my good arm and do what I needed to do, and make my legs as strong as possible to do what I needed to do. And then I wanted my teammates to know that I was still grinding with them. That was my junior year, and so by then I was a captain on the team as well. So there was a lot of that. Like I still need to lead by example and be there for these guys.
It's interesting. Most people talk about success with like hard work and discipline and habits. And one of the topics I like to talk about a lot is if you want to be around great people, you have to be a special person because the rules don't apply to great people. Like you can't ever like expect them to text you back or call you back
Mm.
or you won't be around great people if you put demands on people. If you really want to be around really great fucking people, you take all the demands off them. You be what Adrian Bosman and I used to talk about, the easiest friend ever. They no show you for a cup of coffee, no problem. No problem. It's all there. No one owes you anything, and then you will slowly. But this is another great way to say this. This is I don't know if this is from Twitter, I guess. Adrian Conway at Adrian Conway _ God, I hate an underscore. Uh,
What's wrong with the underscore,
I
man?
just hate numbers and underscore. I just no.
Okay,
Only one person like Jordan could use a number. Uh,
got it.
but the other day, someone had an underscore in the front and the end, like to try to get symmetry, and I was like, okay, I feel you trying.
Yep.
Fanatical commitment to your goals does not grow your circle; it shrinks it. The masses don't move like high achievers because they aren't. It is another way I like to say it, Adrian, is you could see this girl or this guy and you're just totally in love with them and you want them. You have to remember they're a bald eagle. And the second you get a bald eagle and put it in a cage, it no longer is a bald eagle. If you go to the zoo and you think you saw a lion, you're fucking lying to yourself. It has none of the lion traits because it's in a cage. It's not showing ribs. It's not chasing shit down. It's not I mean, it's
Yep.
the environment is 50% of all of us. And this I just love this. What realization did you come to? Like, did you realize like, hey, it's okay if I don't return people's texts. It's okay if like, did you realize it for yourself at some point? Hey, if I'm going to be great, the people around me are just going to have to understand it's not personal.
Yeah, man. I'm strange. Like, I'm
Good,
weird.
me too.
I
Good.
think I've been weird my whole life,
Mhm.
but I had this,
Tell
and
me.
I share this with people, so people that know me know this. But I had this goal, man, when I was really young. I wanted to be special. I mean, my parents told me I could be, right? That first and foremost is it was like there were seeds planted for sure. I can't always remember conversations or anything like that, but neither of my parents went to college. So, like step parents, no one in my immediate family was going to college at all, from a small town in central Pennsylvania. And all this to be said, um, my parents did jobs when I was growing up that they didn't like. They didn't like them. They hated going to work. They would do what they had to do in order to, you know, make make my situation or our situation with my siblings and siblings the best that they could, and give us opportunities. And my mom and dad told me that if I wanted to be happy and do what I wanted to do, that I had to get an education. So it was really easy for me to see that I knew very little about money coming up. I didn't know I didn't know anything about loans, man, or student loans, or how it worked, or like zero. I assumed that if you didn't have the cash to pay for something, that you weren't going to have it. Turns out that's a great way to live, though, right? So long story short, man, I had one option, and it was going to be to get an athletic scholarship or an academic scholarship. And so I pursued that, like, from a young age. I just kind of knew that that's what I wanted. And I think that is what initially made me see that I was going to have to be different and live different than other kids. When I'm 12 and 13 years old, man, I'm like in my bedroom doing push-ups and sit-ups, and not wanting to tell that my brother that I was doing push-ups and sit-ups because I wanted to be stronger than him.
Oh, wow,
And
wow.
and or
Is
or
he older or younger?
I have a stepbrother that's older, and a stepbrother that's younger.
Okay.
hmm So I'm right towards the middle.
Yeah. How old were you when you moved? How old were you guys when you guys came together as a family?
I was 4, and he was 3 when our parents met.
Okay.
Yeah, and
So
with the other side of my family. So my blood father, my father and my stepmother met when I was 4 and my stepbrother was 3. Then on the other side of my family, my mother uh, met my stepfather when I was 5.
and did he
So
have
from a
kids?
very young age, I just had 2 families.
But did he have kids?
Yeah. So that's
Yes.
on
Okay,
that
so you're
side.
right.
My stepfather's side, I have an older sister, an older brother, and then a younger half brother as well.
Oh, okay. So you do have that half brother's the only sibling you have that's like your blood sibling.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's 11 years younger than me.
Oh, no shit. How old are you?
About to be 38 on October 24th.
Oh, wow. Awesome. God, I had no idea. How old are your kids?
6 and 4.
What do you do going back to this comment that you tweeted?
Yeah.
What do you think, what are some of the things you do that you think that make it so what are some of the manifestations that your circles are smaller that you saw? You that kind of line up with that? Like, for me, I keep a really small loop. I'm a creature of habit. I keep a small loop, and so that I can be really fanatical, so I'm not pulled out of my loop. Like, I pass and I make everything part of my day. So
Mm,
my everything's interconnected. There's never anything wasting. Like, if you don't wanna be talked about on my podcast, don't hang out with me. I'll fuck
yep.
you up. I'm talk about you. I see
Yeah.
you like a snot rocket hanging out and you're a parent next to me, I'm talking about it on my podcast. You know what I mean? D d is What do you do that makes you realize that, like, you wanna be great and that you're fanatical? What are some manifestations?
Well, I don't think that I intentionally do this, even maybe perhaps as much as you do, but subconsciously, the way I live and the way I move, and all the way back in college or high school, people who didn't also want to be that way just didn't associate themselves with me as closely. Like, it wasn't me, like, by proxy being like, "Hey man, I can't hang out with you, like, cuz I got to, I got to keep my circle small so that I can." It was just that, well, I pretty much live. I wake up in the morning, I go to school, I go to the weight room during school, I go to the weight room after school, then I go to practice, then I go home, and I don't go out. So if that's your crew and that's what you want to do, then you probably won't want to hang out with me in mine, right? Like, I was the guy that had friends who were non-athletes that just wanted to play video games outside of sport because I wasn't the one that was always out at the parties. So it wasn't necessarily the cool thing to do. So I think that even as an adult now, Savan, I live my life in such a way that I'm able to get done what I desire to get done or what I think needs to be done. And if people don't fit in well, I think they just kind of drop off. So I don't intentionally tell people to kick rocks. They just kick rocks.
Yeah, get in where you fit in.
Right.
Yeah, so like something you may want to do in your life is I see you take your kids to sporting events like soccer, like you're their soccer coach, or you take them to their sporting events.
Yep.
And so if those parents there you might interact with, then they might be your friends by convenience. But you're not going to the bar at night to make friends or hang out.
Correct.
You're having your friend time while you take your kids. Yeah, that's how I do it too. Like I hope I'm on the same path as some people.
That's right.
So our circles can bump.
Yep. Hey, and if we're close, even spiritually, like at church, right? If you want to catch me and spend some quality time with me, you know how you could do it. Come work out with me in the gym.
Right.
Because when I'm free, and because people ask me, they're like, "Hey, Adrian, so what do you do for fun?" I'm like, "Man, I really like what I do, and then when I got more time, I like to work out, and if I'm not working out, I'm spending time with my kids, because that fills my cup, right? And it all is parallel to like the direction I want to be going. I want to be the best coach that I can for every athlete that I guide or serve in my time in the space. Equally, if I choose to be a competitive athlete, I want to be the very best competitive athlete that I can. If I'm not focused on being a competitive athlete, I want to be as fit and as strong as possible as I continue to age up in my life and different things are demanded of me. So to me, it's always just kind of pushing in that direction. I'll also add that physical training has added a ton of value to spiritual discipline for me throughout my entire life. And I didn't know it until I started being more spiritual in my early to mid 20s. But for me, like understanding that I need to show up on days even when I don't feel like it, like that's the same reason that I can be consistent with reading scripture or doing other stuff that personally sometimes I don't want to do it.
Right.
So it all kind of goes the same direction.
It makes you a better parent too.
Oh man.
Because it's always about like, hey, it's always reminding yourself. Well, I don't even know if you have to remind yourself, but it's being in the state of mind of like, I'm the luckiest person in the world that I get to serve these kids.
Luckiest in the world, and there's no better way to put it.
Have you ever let anyone hold you back? There's two ways to word it. You could be like, I used to word it like, man, I've had business partners who really held me back. But really, at the end of the day, it's only when I realized that I was letting them hold me back and I had to move on from them. Did you ever have anyone that was holding you back? I'll give you an example. Like, I wanted to make a movie, and my business partner said we didn't have the skills to make a movie. This is, 30 years ago. But the skills or the resources. And then I realized, oh shit, like, I'm what the fuck kind of talk is that? And I've gone through 3 business partners because in the simplest way, I would say work ethic. You know what I mean? Like we would go on a 7-day work trip. I would work all 7 days. They would go hiking one day. And that's okay. I just didn't want to be, and so have you ever had anyone where you had to cut them loose because you felt like you were allowing them to hold you back?
I don't think so. And I say that because ultimately it was like, even in your situation, this is where my mind goes, is that your business partner gave you that advice, or they said that thing, but who chose to let them influence you that way? That was you.
Right. I would keep working and then I would start resenting them. Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So I can't,
and it's not their fault. They didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't say that there's anyone that comes to my mind or like any hard, like, hey man, I got to draw this line. We can't do this anymore. We can't do that anymore. I think I've always been very obvious, like very straightforward with people. Like, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. And I think people always saw it. And so again, like either they wanted to be tied to it or they didn't. And I just I was always dancing to the beat of my own drum, for lack of any better, correlation. And a lot of it is, I mentioned to you, I grew up basically with 2 families, right? The whole time I was coming up. So the way that I grew up,
in what city?
All over the place, because my stepdad was in the Air Force. So, which means, for me, I didn't go to the same elementary school for 2 years in a row school for 2 years in a row until I was 16. So when I was a sophomore in high school, my sophomore year and junior year were the 2 years that I went to the same school 2 years in a row. Before that, I went 1 year with my mom's family, 1 year with my dad's family. And the base of my family, because even my step parents are from this area, is central Pennsylvania. And I lived in California, Ohio, Arizona on some of those other off years that I was kind of growing up. So because of that, though, I'm sure that I got some really weird personality quirks and a way too high level of independence that like doesn't allow me to be sometimes the closest with people. Because when you're growing up like that, right, it's like I'm trying to protect myself. You know, I'm trying not to be so sad when I leave my friends. So what's the best way to do that? Not get too close to them. And so I think that because of that, though, when I decide I want something, I'm just going to go get it. And whoever wants to support it or go get it with me, let's go. And then whoever doesn't, then, you know, they'll find their way out.
That's an interesting self-observation. When I think of you, it's very interesting. When I think of you, I think of you as very polished, but I don't think of you as a douchebag. Like, I don't think of you like, you know, that guy I don't think of you as a used car salesman. But I do think of you as very uh concise in your choice of words, in your just your presentation, from your physical to your kind of emotional to just everything that and that's interesting. I think that coincides with what you're describing as like you have a good game face.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the plan to switch back and forth every year? Like, that seems like a crazy plan to do to a kid. You get them 1 year, we get them 1 year. It's like, I don't know if that's a good one. That was the
Yeah.
plan, or was it because there would be fighting in one house and then fighting in the other house? Or that was the plan all
No,
along?
man, that's how custody was
Holy
decided to be
shit,
split.
dude.
Yep.
Getting your transcripts and shit together must have been crazy, like, when you, like, tried to get out. Like,
Yeah,
go
well,
to college or whatever.
fortunately
Everything must
enough,
have been
though,
everywhere.
right? So fortunately enough, though, 10th grade through 12th grade were all in one place.
Yeah.
So in Phoenix, Arizona, that's when. So I live in Salt Lake City, Utah. I was recruited from there to come play college football. So it was, you know, luckily the transcript thing wasn't a big deal. But yearly, moving from school to school, or understanding as a kid and seeing this, that academics on the East Coast are at a higher level than academics are on the West Coast. Like, I would always feel myself feeling slightly behind when I went back home to Pennsylvania, especially once I hit junior high, than I did when I would come out to California or Arizona. Like, it felt easier to me. So with all that considered, you know, there were some complicated things for sure. But I'm looking back, man, it was hard. But I'm grateful for the experience. And this is going to sound really weird, but I think it allowed my parents to be good influences for me, but for me to never feel like I needed to be like either of them, because I was never around them, right, that much at any one given time. So they could tell me things, and they could say things, and they could teach me things. They could even tell me things that they couldn't do right by themselves. And I'd be like, yeah, I get it. And I didn't lose respect for them. I didn't feel like they were hypocritical. None of that. And I think it's because of some of that distancing. Now, I will say this, though. As an adult man, my son is 6 and my daughter is 4. I could almost like cry right now thinking about, you know, giving them a hug and a kiss and putting them on a plane to go away from me for months at a time. Like, I can't imagine. And I vividly,
Oh my God,
dude, it breaks me. It literally breaks me, but it makes me have tremendous amount of empathy for my parents. Like, I think back to now, like what they were.
Do it.
I have no idea. I have no idea. I can remember vividly, though, the day that my father found out that my mom was going to be moving to California with my stepdad, and what that did to him, and how he couldn't even like interact with me.
Oh,
And
because he was gonna miss you? Have you ever talked to your dad about that?
oh man, listen. So unfortunately, my father passed away when I was 16.
Okay.
Yeah, he died when I was 16, and very very emotional man. Definitely not afraid to hide his emotions. And we you know, we talked about it. It was something that affected me and still affects me to this day for the rest of my life, because of how much I saw what it did to him. And it wasn't even the time yet. It wasn't like I was saying goodbye to him at the time. It was just, he knew what that meant, right, for our relationship, and he knew what that meant for our time. And so, yeah, man, I remember that pretty vividly.
I remember, I don't know how my dad just lived 25 miles away, right? And he came every weekend, right? And and he would take me to Berkeley, or my mom would drive me there or whatever. So I saw my dad every weekend. But I do remember some age, 13 or 14, and him and my mom sitting me down. They were divorced and saying,
Mhm.
"Hey, do you want to move in with your dad?" And I was like, "Well, of course I do, but I don't want to leave you.
Right.
I don't
Yep.
want to leave my mom.
Yep.
How about he just move in next door or something?" Yeah, and now that I think of my dad, now that I think about it, it's funny, I never even thought of it. My dad was really emotional. I could tell he did not like being away from me. He was a workaholic though too, and in a
Okay.
good way. I mean, I got it from him too. Both my parents were workaholics.
Yeah.
Your parents workaholics? Like
Nope.
work, work, work? No,
Nope. Nope.
no.
Not
They
not
knew how,
not in any.
they knew how to have downtime.
Yeah. So my dad, when he was alive, so my mom still works. She works at the high school that I went to. She's an assistant to the athletic director there. So she served in that role even through my time in high school, and she still does it today. And she likes her job, but my mom is social, right? So she likes the socialistic perspective of it. She wants to hang out with the young kids and hear help support some of the young women going through high school drama. Like those things are like that's her cup of tea. My mom is a great support system and also someone that really is very good at sharing hard truths with people.
You think she's a
Um,
server? You think your mom's a server, like in like the yoga tradition? You think she's a server? Like
I don't know what that means
she's
in the yoga tradition.
it's like y- um like it's the highest honor, like service, a
He-
service to people.
yes, I do,
And
and
there's a Taoist saying, "Stop thinking your problems will end," or if like, "Hey man, like all pain and everything is all just ego. Like stop thinking about yourself and go serve someone." You think your mom's a server like that? That's what I mean, like a
yes,
service provider to
yep,
like
in
the
a very
world. Whether
different way. In a
yeah,
very different way. She might she might use some choice words that some other people might not use. You know what I mean?
right.
But she's a great listener, and in a way that like she's not trying to think about what she's going to say back to you before she hears what you have to say. And so I think that's yes, in that tone, absolutely. Um, but on the other side, my dad, he worked at a shoe factory most of my life, and he did some welding stuff. So it was like hard work.
At the shoe factory,
Yeah,
like
like on the
kept the
machine.
machines going.
Yeah.
Did the machines make shoes?
Yes.
I heard this story. This is way off subject. I heard this story that, and I don't know if this is true. I'd have to ask Bill. That Bill Henniger, you know, how they try to make all their shit in the U.S. and that he wanted to make shoes. He wanted to make a shoe, but that there was not a single
Mm,
manufacturer in the United States of America that made shoes in country. Is that plant that your dad worked at still around?
nope.
Fuck.
Yep. It was in
You know what
Central
shoes
PA,
they
man.
made there? What do you remember about that?
Listen, it was in Huntington, Pennsylvania. It was called
Uh-huh.
U.S. Sports.
Uh-huh.
It was called U.S. Sports, and that's man. That's all I got. That's all I can remember. I remember being there. I remember going into the factory sometimes. Me and my brother running around that place in things and doing things we certainly shouldn't have been doing. We're probably lucky that we didn't kill each other playing with some of those machines on the weekends or something. But um,
It's funny, I just Googled, are there any shoe manufacturers in the United States? It says there are 863 shoe and footwear manufacturing businesses in the USA. I
hmm,
wonder if any of those actually make shoes.
right,
Hey, how did your dad pass?
car accident.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So it even is more tragic than that, to be honest with you, man. It's like my dad had his vices and had his limitations, and just like we all do. But at that time, so to kind of jump back into this story, then to bring this whole tragedy kind of to a head, is that I did this bounce back and forth thing in my mind as a freshman. So my freshman year was in Pennsylvania, and I had the opportunity to play both varsity football and basketball as a freshman, and we weren't far from Penn State, and it's not far from Pitt, and it's a great hub. Like we're not far from Ohio State. I wanted to be a Big Ten athlete. Like I wanted to go to one of these major market colleges and play football. And so with things going the way they were going, I thought that that's where I was going to stay to do my high school time so that I could, reach my goals. And my dad was going through some struggles at the time, going through a job change. He was having some back issues, very, very chronic back issues. Now, my dad worked out all the time,
Mm.
right? Loved to work out, loved to train.
Back
Um,
buys and tries, the whole Arnold Schwarzenegger stuff.
yeah,
Yep, Gold's
yeah,
Gym, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yep.
but never shied away. You know, it wasn't like he loved to grind. He wanted to do legs. He wanted to, you know, I don't think he did a ton of squatting in his latter years, but he did a ton of leg pressing. You
Mhm,
know, he's the one that helped get me and my brother technical work for Olympic lifts, even when we were like, man, at the time 13 and 12. And this is way before this is common or popular, right? So we were learning the hang clean and different things like that. But nonetheless, man, um, I I thought I wanted to stay there, and because he was going through some things with his back and change of work, he fell into some pretty heavy substance abuse in the form of just abusing codeine, the meds that he was getting pushed
mm,
for his back pain, right? To the point where like I remember riding in a car with him and could tell that he was so tired that he was almost like dozing off at the wheel type thing.
mhm, mhm.
And as a teenager, you know, I see things and I've seen a lot of stuff growing up to this point. So I knew when something was good and when it wasn't good and when it was bad and right, all these things. So I'll say something. So I'm like, hey man, what's your problem? What's wrong with you? And like I say it like that, like I'm a man.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't have been talking to my dad like that, but also between my mom and dad, my mom was a disciplinarian.
Mm,
So I was saying whatever I needed to say to my dad without really thinking about it.
right, and you said that sounds consistent with what you've learned from your mom and how you characterize your mom.
Correct. And so, you know, he would lie to me. He'd be like, "I'm good, man. Nothing. I'm okay. Nothing's up." I'm like, "Hey, man, did you take too many of those pills?" Nah, no, just what they tell me to. You know, that kind of thing. So it was a hard thing for me to deal with
God,
because
I
I could
by the
see
way, I
this.
hate that line, by the way.
So,
I
what line?
triggered. Just what they told me to.
Mm, mm. Well, me and
That
you
doesn't
both,
sit
man.
well with me.
Me and you
Last 3
both.
or 4 years, that hasn't been sitting well with me.
I understand.
Anyway, go on.
Nah, man, I get it. And so with all that being said, though, as a kid, I'm starting to have these some realizations, and man, it got to the point where like I was like, is he drunk though, or is he on these pills? Me
Right,
and my brother would go like searching for stuff in our house to see if we could find what he was taking so we could throw it away. Like
right,
all
right,
this.
right.
Long story short, my stepmother, because she cared about me more than she cared about, you know, she cared about us as kids more than anything else. When I was away with my mom that summer, she shared with my mom what was going on. And my mom was like, cool, like you're just not gonna be allowed to go back. And I didn't like this choice, clearly,
She didn't
you
want
know,
you driving with someone who's under the influence. She didn't want you to die in a car accident.
any of
Right,
it.
right.
Right. And he had been in
Or
it
pop one of his pills, which you could easily do at 16. I'm gonna try my dad's cigarette, I'm gonna try his pills, I'm gonna try whatever.
easily,
Yep.
easily. Which that's a whole nother topic because I think I never had those desires because of things that both he told me and he showed me, unfortunately. Right. Like I saw something, I'm like, well, I don't want that. I don't
Right,
want to be like that. And
right.
also he would tell me, like, hey, you don't want this and you don't want to be like this.
Mm.
Um, so nonetheless, you know, I'm in Arizona then starting my high school career there, kind of like doing the football thing. And all the while he's trying to get some help for his condition, what he's dealing with. And I'm set to go back to visit for Christmas. This is about 10 days. It's December 14th. So, you know, only about 10 days out before Christmas. And that's when he died.
And you're at home at your mom's house, and your mom's like, "Hey, your dad died in a car accident."
We were out buying a Christmas tree and I had weird feelings that day, man. Like
Mm,
weird feelings, like very stressed feelings. And this is you know, I don't talk about this a ton, but it's like something really felt weird to me and not
mm.
right. And I'm not a dude that stresses about much, man. Like I don't get stressed about much. And I had my license, but I was meeting my mom and my stepdad out. We were buying a Christmas tree because it's the same night that we did this every year. And then we got home, and that's when, you know, fortunately enough, you know, my best friend and my stepbrother was the one that called. So the one that's a year younger than me, because he was the one holding it together. Well, of course, my stepmom was probably not in a great place, made the call and told my stepdad on the phone. And I heard my stepdad answer the phone, and I remember him being shaken, right? Like something's not right. And I heard, did he make it? I knew exactly what was going on. And I just remember like sprinting back to my room and like being devastated.
How long does that last?
Outwardly for me, probably not long. Inwardly for me, a very long time. A very long time.
What's inwardly look like? You're mad at him, or
Mm.
Feeling
Very,
sorry for yourself or
very, uh, yeah, feeling like life is unfair.
mm,
Like screw this, I don't understand. Um, yeah, a lot of hate towards his actions and a lot of stuff that I didn't flesh out until like I was actually able to have a healthy perspective on who God is in my life, and then like give him forgiveness for like, man, he was just another sinful man. And to be honest, he didn't have real men in his life to be like, hey man, you need to man up. Hey man, you need to be better. Hey, you can't be doing this. Oh, you feel bad, your back is hurting you. Well, you got a kid that you need to take care of, and you got a family that you need to provide for. And this is gonna make me kind of go off on a rant, but to me, as I grow, I always want to try to be the type of friend or the type of leader that I felt like my dad never had. Because my dad didn't have a father. He never knew his father, never met him once.
when you say that consciously you wanna be that or you feel that unconsciously?
I both. And
Oh,
every ounce of my being, when I think about who I want to be as a man, I think about how many men are out there that are like my dad, that grew up
mm.
with no father, no support, no example.
My
And
dad
and
my my dad too. My dad grew up like that. My dad had his dad was off in the military. He would only come home on weekends and get my fucking grandma pregnant. My dad had 10 brothers and sisters living in a concrete hut that was 15 by 15, no electricity, no running water, kids dying and accidents didn't fuck my grandfather. Yeah. My dad was the oldest too. So exact same thing. You're right. It's everywhere.
yeah, it's everywhere. And no one's unaffected by it, right? You could be the
Yeah.
richest family in the world,
Yeah.
and the absence of a strong leader
Mhm.
affects you the rest of your life in perpetuity.
How did you learn how to become that? You just faking it?
Some days I wonder. Some
Yeah.
days I might
Yeah.
be faking it. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I'm faking it.
Yeah, it's like
But I'm
I just
enjoying faking it, but I'm enjoying the fuck out of it. I'm enjoying it.
it's bro, I really enjoy it, but also it's scary and it's hard, right? To try to always be the steadfast, even keeled, unaffected, and not necessarily unaffected. I'm always open to sharing emotion and allowing people to feel my emotion when the time is appropriate. But like, sometimes leading is exhausting. And to me, I learn a lot of what I learn from leaders that I look up to and admire in the Bible, right? Or
Oh,
like God's leadership
like
to
who?
me.
Like, give me an example of who. Recently I've been introduced, this isn't gonna be anything profound, but recently been introduced to this idea that God's like the ultimate father. That's what he is to all of us, he's the ultimate father, and it's funny, I never thought of it like that.
Mm.
But
Yeah,
the but
absolutely.
and that's why it's so important to have not only is it important to have a father in your day-to-day life, but it's important for everyone to have a father, and that father is God.
Right. Right. Yeah, and I think clearly that Jesus is my number one, right? As someone who had a tremendous purpose and a tremendous pressure coming into his life, he was willing to fulfill the prophecies that were laid out before him in the Old Testament. And no matter how terrible and or difficult those situations that he found himself in were, he was willing to do what he deemed necessary to do. Right. Another one is David from the Old Testament, a leader who had tremendous ability mixed with tremendous commitment. A man that was certainly far from perfect. Led a life with tremendous sin, like some serious stuff where you'd be like, "Yo, I can't believe he would do that," and "Yo, Adrian, I can't believe you're saying like he was a good leader." Man, he was a great leader, and he had many limitations, and he was a sinful dude, just like I am. I'm never going to be perfect, but if I do my best to follow God's will for my life, and which means like I'm in there with the scripture, and I'm in there being sensitive to like what I do that hangs me up, what I do that is a struggle for me, and I do my best to kind of veer away from those things or strengthen those weaknesses, then I think I'll be hopefully doing the right thing for not just my family but people around me that I can influence too.
Um, Real quick rambler, maybe faking it's not the right word. Feeling around in the dark. You can go. I don't by faking it. I don't mean like being fake. I mean like oh shit, like I'm teaching my kid how to skateboard and I fucking don't skateboard myself. That's what I
Yeah.
mean by faking it.
Yep.
I'm like you know what I mean. I'm using everything I can, but I'm completely in the fucking dark. And not afraid to say I don't know when I don't know either.
Right.
But there's times where you just got to fake it. Like, you never change a flat tire. You got a flat tire. You better fucking get out there and pull out the lug nut and like do it with confidence. Like, you know what you're doing. And that's what I mean by fake it. I don't mean like tell someone you love them when you don't. I don't mean that. I mean just if you got to fight a bear, you never fought a bear before. Better time to man up and like act like you know what you're doing.
Yeah,
Fight,
100%. And I agree exactly with your take on that, Savon. I think that it's not faking it. And that might have been a poor choice of words. It's almost like we do feel this. I mean, I'm speaking for myself though. I feel this very real imposter syndrome mindset where it's like I find myself in situations and I'm like, how did I really get here? I mean, I preached a sermon on Sunday at church.
Oh, I was gonna ask you if you do that.
I'm
If
like,
that's
yo,
gonna
man,
be in your future. Do you
yeah,
do that
man,
every Sunday?
no, not every
Oh,
Sunday. I'm
oh,
no evangelist, no leader of a church. I do lead our small group here in Salt Lake.
okay,
But I don't preach every weekend. No,
okay,
I get asked
okay.
to do it periodically, but then even then I'm like, yo, man, I don't.
Okay, so tell me, so you said on a Sunday you did a sermon. What is that? You find something you like in the Bible and then you talk to people about it? You'd be like, "Hey, this is chapter 7 with John and Paul hanging out by the lake. I want to talk to you guys about this today." And you do like a 30-minute talk on it?
That's right. Yeah, it's very similar to that. Fortunately enough, we've got a great leader here. His name is Chris Reed, a guy that I look up to tremendously. We're in a series right now where we're going through the book of Mark, and that's in the New Testament. And so I specifically taught from Mark 12 verses 1 through 12, and it's a parable that Jesus is teaching to the Pharisees, the religious leaders at the time, and literally it's a parable of the tenants. Do you know what that parable is?
No, I have no idea. I don't even know what tenants are. Like tenants, like they live
Like,
in my apartment, in my
like
house that I
renters,
get money from? Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah. I know what
renters,
they are. I love
bro.
them.
It's wild because like wine fields and vineyards were a thing back then, right? So Jesus is using this parable to be like, hey, I'm going to tell you guys there was an owner of a vineyard and he had it set up. The wine press was ready. Everything was good. He moved away and he gave it to some tenants. These tenants were there. They led through a season and it was fruitful. So he sent one of his servants to go, hey, collect some of these fruits for myself from my vineyard. The tenants there beat this dude up, sent him away. The owner's like, okay, I want to, let's run this back one more time. He sent another one. They killed him.
Wow.
He sent several more and they either killed him or beat them up. Lastly, he was like, okay, I'm going to send my son. They for sure will not hurt my son. So they send his son, and the tenants, the renters of this vineyard, they're like, wait, this is this man's son. This is his heir to the everything that he owns. If we kill him, there will be no heir to this. Like this could be ours then. They kill his son. What's the vineyard owner do? He goes back, destroys them, and destroys the field. This is a parable that was like literally prophesied, right, in the book of Isaiah. And it's in terms of like God being the overseer of a vineyard. So Jesus was sitting there stone cold, told the parable to the religious leaders at the time, and it was directly about them and how they treated who would be him, right?
Oh.
They were cut. And this is when a lot of the manifestation of them having side conversations of like, we got to put Jesus in jail somehow. Like we literally have to do something to get him away. He has too much power, too much influence. And he's literally attacking
careful,
us.
my dad will fuck you up.
That's what he's saying. He was saying this is what's going to happen. Because then it's only weeks before Jesus is crucified. So anyways, long story short, man, that's the parable. And that's what I taught. And so there were different points on different things. And I just came up with them.
Jeez Louise, you know God is speaking to you when you hear the same scripture 3 times in a week.
Ooh.
Ooh.
No lies.
When I have a dear friend that I've become friends with over the last year, and his name's Andrew Hiller, and his mom died, I think, when he was similar to the age when you said your dad died. And it was so fucking hard for me to hear him say that.
Mm.
It's so I mean, it's his mom. Why is it hard? I don't even know why it's hard for me to say that. I want to run from the conversation when he told me it. Because just like when you told me your dad died, I kind of want to just be like, oh, podcast is over. I just want to leave.
Yeah.
It's a fucking hard to hear, dude. I always trip on this too because both my parents are alive, and I remember being a kid, and I've said this on this podcast 10 times. I remember being a kid I didn't want to be alone. Like I didn't mind being alone. Like I like being alone at home, but I like knowing my mom and dad are out there in the world.
Yep.
But when I had kids, that feeling went away.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
When you had kids, did you feel some healing occur directly in correspondence to your dad's death
Mm.
by any chance?
I don't know if I did, man. Like
Okay.
I felt I did feel different. And the different that I'll say, and again, I know you're cool with it because this is why you had me on podcast talk about me. But like my relationship with God, when I was 21 years old and I made the choice to be close to God and try to make my life in a way that I'm living like according to like what even is close to being taught in scripture.
Uh-huh.
When I made the really hard choice of like counting the cost with where my life could go, me doing whatever I want with it versus like me trying to commit my life to following God and allowing him to be my father, like that's when I got that. That's when I felt like peace that I'd never felt before. That was it for me. When I had my son, it was almost like there was a fulfillment there that I never could have imagined. Like the bond between my wife and I got deeper. Like everything, you know, all the good stuff happened, but I also like became more worried than I ever had in my life. So
About what? In what way? What do you mean? Like
about
money or shelter or like the fundamentals, food or
my presence, like about my well-being.
oh,
Like
oh,
I
oh, like
was
I can't be injured, I can't get sick, I can't like die. I can't die.
I can't die.
I can't die. Yeah, I can't
That
die
sounds
either. Yeah.
morbid, right? But it's
No,
like
no, I get it. I get it. I can't die either. I cannot die. Hey,
I
someone just sent me a text and they said, "Hey, I'm 38 years old. I have 3 kids and I just came down with something." And then the next line was, "This can't be happening to me." Yeah, like I get it. I was like, "Oh shit, you're right. This can't be happening to you. You have
yep.
kids. You got shit to do."
Nope. Yep. Got stuff to do, man, and it's so it's I think you just I become aware of it because I want to be there to teach them and lead them and help them and guide them through this life. And I think, you know, when I had my son, it was the first realization of like, whoa, man. Like as weird as it sounds, I never, man, I've been flying by myself since I was 5 due to this custody thing, right? My parents sending me on the plane. The stewardess watches after me, but I've been flying 4 or 5 times a year, easy. Seminar staff exponentially grow that amount of frequency, right? Like so. But now I think about those types of things. I'm like, man, all right. Well, hope we get where we're going safely. I got kids to raise, right? I got stuff to do. I got people to serve. But when I had kids, that was the most sobering realization. Is like, man, life is so precious and it's so finite. And I had already lost my father, and I knew that growing up. I'd seen many people come and go from this earth at that point. But it's like, man, that was a crazy realization that I didn't know was going to hit me as hard as it did when I entered parenthood.
Yeah, half as many drinks. For me, when we had our first kid, I had hurt my back deadlifting to where I had to like crawl to the bathroom and pee in the shower, and I was basically stuck for 3 days. And then after that, I made a decision: I will never be injured like this again.
Yeah.
It's completely inappropriate to do this when I have a kid. Fucking unexcusable. And I haven't been injured since.
Mm.
But now I went from trying to like set PRs to take the women's weight and cut it in half. And you know what? I feel perfectly okay doing that.
Yeah.
Like zero, all gain, no loss.
So it's just a sense of caution that you take then when you go in the gym. You're just like, hey, if it ain't worth it, nah, it's not worth it.
I need to. I'm working out. It's like what you said. I'm working out so that I can be here. The whole premise of working out has nothing to do with anything that it used to do before. It's just to live long and healthy and be a good example for my kids. It's everything about my kids. Everything about my kids.
Yeah.
Everything. Should I lift that? Should I tired? It's 11 o'clock and I haven't worked out yet? Well, yeah, of course you got it. You got it because you got kids. Like it's just always because you got kids. So easy.
No, I get that, man. Do you what's the name of your oldest boy?
Avi.
Do you have this desire that when Avi's like 14 or 15, you still need to be able to put an elbow in his throat on the ground? Like you gotta keep your physical dominance enough to
I'm in trouble, dude. I'm in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I hope I'm equally in trouble, but
he does martial arts. My kids do martial arts like almost 7 days a week.
Wow.
And they're just trained. They just train. That's all they do. They're basically professional athletes. All they do all day, they do 2 hours of school in the morning and then they train till bedtime. That's what my kids do. That's all they know. Some discipline. And like even my kid who's 6, Joseph, the other day did a spinning back kick on me. I'm like, dude, if that hits me in the knee, I'm done. You cannot. I'm an old fucking dude." And they all start laughing. But it's true. Like, yeah, I'm in trouble. They've told me, "Hey, we're not going to beat you up when you're old. You don't have to worry." Even though you yell at us, "We're not going to beat you up when you're old." I'm like,
Yeah,
"Cool, that's cool.
you
Thanks.
yeah,
Thanks
you
for
were good to
looking
us
out for me."
when we were young. We're gonna show you mercy. We're gonna show you mercy. I love that.
I'm
We're
not. You're younger than me and a more formidable man than me. So I'm 51. I don't know, dude. At 14, he's going to be
mhm.
Bobby's already. He's not a normal. Yeah, he walks around all
Oh, yeah, I
shoulders
see it.
back and shit, and yeah, he thinks he's the shit.
Yep. Hey, that's why you gotta stay ready, man. You're
Yeah,
gonna probably have to put
yeah,
him in his place a time or two,
yeah.
you know?
But I do stuff like, if we're doing 100 burpees, I do 110. I let him know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If we're at tennis, like, and he's crying, I go, "Hey," I come up to the fence, and I whisper in his ear, I go, You're gonna just cry every day for the next 10 years. I'm gonna fucking crush you." You know what I mean? Like, I don't,
Yeah.
where I can, I stay on him, you
Yep.
know?
Yeah, absolutely,
Uh,
man, and you got to.
I roar at him. I roar. I let him know that I'm the big fucking lion in the
Right,
house. Anyone
right.
does anything crazy, disrespectful to mom, I'll come flying out of the bedroom quick as shit, teeth showing,
Oh, yeah.
snarling, make you run into the backyard scared for your life,
Oh,
you know?
exactly. Yeah, those are certainly the
Yeah.
closest my son has come to meeting his maker
Uh-huh.
was
Right. Be disrespectful to your mom.
disrespect
Yeah.
to mom.
Yeah,
Yep.
you could do that shit to me all day.
Amen.
We're good, but not
That's right.
John. Yeah.
Nope. Nope, not gonna fly in this house, and hopefully they grow up and when they're married, they do the same type of action to defend theirs.
Um, Rich Froning, I would say we have some really remarkable characters in our sport.
Mhm.
Really, truly fucking remarkable people. The things that Rich and Tia and Matt have done are just are mind boggling. And what Rich has done by going over to teams and continuing on and being an ambassador and an affiliate owner, and it just um I have so much fucking respect for the guy. I don't know where it's even weird to even try to talk about it with words. When you tell me about this season where your team beat his team, and then at the end, I want to be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you guys? Why didn't you stay together and just take everything from them?" Like, do you ever think that could have been us? We could have won 5 in a row, and we could have done it on the back of Rich Froning. I mean, it would have been vicious. So, first, walk me back to the creation of this team. What year was it that you won the games, and had Rich's team won it the year before?
They won it the 2 years before. They won it in
Okay,
15 and 16.
okay.
15, it was like, was that an accident? Did Rich really know they were gonna win, right? If you remember, go
Oh,
back
that
and
was a
look at the score.
Jason Kalipa Miranda thing. Like, they kinda got
Correct.
lucky that Miranda got injured.
Yeah, but they finished in a way. I mean, they earned it, right? But they because
Yeah.
they were not winning, and in those 3 back-to-back 100-point scores or whatever it was, 6 back-to-back, it was some crazy finale where it was like 600 points were on the board, and each person went through a workout individually. And they closed the gap and won it. But then in 16, they had this obnoxious victory that was just like, oh, no one's even on the same level as these guys. Like that was crazy. So in 17 was the year that we had a team. And in 16 for me as an individual. So 15 I went individual. 16 I missed out on qualifying by a few points in the Super South. Um,
What they took 7 and you were 8th?
no, they took
5?
5, I think. Yep,
What number were you?
6,
Oh, shit.
6 or 7.
Who was 5?
Ooh, maybe Sean Sweeney.
Oh, man.
Yep. And then
Brutal.
but it was like me and Easy both, I think that year, like we were 6 and 7 and we had almost like the same score. So either way, I remember that very vividly, but also to my friends. So Michaela North and Mandy Janowitz, were both going individual. All 3 of them, actually. Mandy Janowitz, Tiffany Hendrickson, and Michaela North, all 3 women that would go on to be on our team, went individual that year in the Super South, none qualified. Michaela North was on the podium, got the belt. She was about to be a rookie individual competitor coming from our affiliate. And they took it away from her because there was a no rep that something got weird happened on that legless. It was a thruster legless rope climb finale. And she was on the podium going to the games, and then they took it away from her. And because what they chose to, or what they changed in the score, it bumped her out of going to the games altogether.
Holy shit. Holy shit.
So point that I'm bringing
I
up.
remember that workout. That workout was crazy.
It was wild,
I
man.
remember seeing it in Del Mar in San Diego. Okay, go on.
And
Was Tommy did Tommy qualify that year?
16, I think Tommy was on a team.
Okay.
I think Tommy was on a team. Yeah, I could be wrong. He might not have competed that year, actually. 15 might have been one of his last years of being on a team. Because in 14, of course, he went, got 6th. And then 15, I think he went team again. And I think maybe they finished 3rd that year. But nonetheless, we decided to put the team together. And it was like shortly after that. Like, so regionals wrapped up.
There were 5 people on the team that year, Adrian?
6.
6.
Yeah, 5 others. 5 others. So
okay.
Brennan Fjord was one of the males.
That's right.
Mitch Spute was our other male, and then those 3 women: Michaela North, Tiffany Hendrickson, and Mandy Janowitz. And we decided we were going to go team probably just 2 months after that. So we had a long trajectory and a long time to plan it. It was just after the games had finished, whenever that was, and we watched Mayhem dominate as badly as they did.
And that was in 2016 that they dominated. 15,
Right.
16, 15. Okay. And then so you, as you start, when you get on this team, do you guys know you're good right away?
Yeah, it's the reason that we came together to do it. So for sure, I mean, look, Tiffany Hendrickson had finished 11th at the games before. Mandy Janowitz had finished 24th at the games before as an individual. And then Michaela North was the one right there knocking at the door the previous year. So I knew the key to having good success on a team, because I was on Hackspack. So we won it in 2012 and 2013 already. I knew how to construct a good team because I watched Tommy do it. And I was there, and we grinded for 2 years. And all of us in our training, even in 2012 and 2013, was way ahead of the curve. We'd always train
3 team victories. You have 3
I do.
golds as a team. Wow, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So 12 and 13, we're both like not even close. Like we killed everyone, right? But it's because we were just ahead of the curve. We wanted to bring good athletes together, create like this housing for them so we can compete, get games experience. But for me, I also just wanted to go individual one day. And we had several other athletes in the same boat. So to fast forward, I kind of knew the inner workings of how to put all this stuff together, in my opinion. And I knew that our 3 women that we were bringing to the team were going to be superior. I knew that I was pretty well-rounded, and I knew the work that it entailed to get a team there and to have high success. Brennan Fjord is one of the most physically gifted athletes that I've ever worked with in my entire life. And high level capacity, high level strength. You know what hangs him up is just skill development and time under tension. He needed more time with the gymnastics coach to really be top tier elite. And then Mitch Spute was a rookie, altogether rookie. This was an affiliate member at Wasatch who told me that the year before, he's like, "Hey, Adrian, I want to compete at this sport." And I was like, "Cool, man. Well, come meet me at a Saturday session and work out." He showed up, and then he showed up with me every single day until we went to the CrossFit Games a year and a half later.
Wow. So he did what that post said. He was fanatical.
Completely fanatical.
He shut down the rest of his life.
Correct. Like, in fact, I told him, I tried to give him a hard way. I was like, "Hey man, come train with me on Saturday morning early." He showed up and did it. Then I was like, "Hey man, what you need to first do is go to the affiliate class, minimum 3 days a week." So he went to the 6 a.m. class 3 days a week, and he did that for the next several months. And then he could start to come add in training with me and the other competitors. But first I needed to see him chase intensity, learn how to scale, learn from a coach day to day. And then he could start jumping in on what we were doing.
And when you mean you went at him at a hard way, meaning, oh, now that I'm looking at this picture of your team, I recognize the girls. Yep, I know who all these people are. I just need to see the faces. Meaning, when you said you went at him in a hard way, you were trying to prune him. Like, okay, I'm gonna haze him a little bit. I'm not gonna make this easy for him. Let's see what he's made of.
Yes. And I knew that he was a hard worker, right? Because I'd actually coached him when he was in high school. He was a football player and a wrestler. And I did performance enhancement and speed and agility coaching for him years before he reached out to me about this CrossFit thing. And so it was one of those deals where it was just like, I wanted him to pay his dues with really learning the ins and outs of CrossFit. You do that best in the class. And then he started to, get after it with us from a competitive standpoint and really refine where he was weak and come on up. But that year, he also wasn't our planned 6th person. Like, this is as the season's unfolding when we really got down to it. Because, there's some real hard conversations you got to have with people like, "Hey man, if you can't train like this 6 days a week, like the rest of us are training, don't pretend to be on our team." because I'm going to reach out to you and I'm going to also look at what you're doing. And I'm going to say like, hey man, you're not carrying your weight. And the last thing I want is to show up at regionals in May and not win every single first place at the Super South. And it's your fault, because I'm going to say that it was your fault. And like, that's just that, like, that's literally how we carried ourselves as a team that year.
Were you the leader of the team, Adrian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. And that was by, I mean, we got help. So Nick Fowler, who, you know, worked with Roman for a long time, worked with Carl Saunders, worked with many different athletes that, you know, have done some amazing things.
The year she killed it.
Yeah, absolutely. So everybody that kind of came up through that brute, early brute, you know, revolution, he helped us. We each followed our own individual program, but then we would train together. And I kind of shied away from being the team leader by like title, because I think that in all my years of leading, like being a captain on the football team and all that stuff, like people choose you to lead, you don't choose to lead. Right. So I wasn't going to fake it and be like, yo, well, I'm the one that got the most experience. I've been to the CrossFit games. Like, none of that matters to me. I think the best leader should lead. And I think the rest of the team identifies that and then not necessarily falls in line, but it's what happens. And I remember one vividly, like one Saturday we had a big team session, and it was fun because when we trained as a team, we would always do stuff that made it really hard on us. So for example, we would do worm work, but we wouldn't know what we were going to do with the worm until the coach told us what he wanted us to do. So Nick might be there and he'd be like, 20 push press, go. We'd do it. We'd have to keep it on our shoulder. He'd go like 15 thrusters, go. We got to do it. Keep it on our shoulder. 10 forward lunges, go. And then, you know, after all that fatigue, people are starting to look around. Someone's shaking in the back, kind of whining like, oh, I don't know if I can do it. And you're just like, okay, hey, let's go. We got to do it. And we would just fall to shambles, but we would find our threshold doing that style of training. And it wasn't super often that we did. But there was a Saturday where it was really obvious. People mother effing each other, running in from a run like, hey, pick up the effing sandbag. You know, Brennan, love you. He had some moments on one of these Saturdays where it was like we were all just kind of freaking out. And I don't really say much. I'm just doing the work. But some of them were being very verbal. And so it was obvious that Saturday we needed to have more formal leadership. And so that's when I kind of was like, okay. And Nick basically told me like, hey, man, you're the guy. You got to do it. And I was like, cool. So then from then on out, it was like I kind of wore that hat and did that for our team. But yeah, I never, I mean, even every leadership role that I found myself in throughout the course of my life, it's not something that I've ever asked for. Again, I think it's cool and it's fun. Like you shared, even being a father, like it's cool. But I really also like just doing work.
Yeah.
Like shutting off my brain and doing work. And when you're a leader, you can't just do that.
Yeah. I realized what I'm really good at is picking a leader. I'm really good at picking a leader. I'm really and so I'm really good at leading myself. I'm really good at like finding people like, okay, this motherfucker is gonna take me to the promised land. So does the team know? Does Mayhem have a target on its back? Like with you guys, are you guys like, do you guys talk? Do you guys talk be like, hey, we have to beat this fucking team. It's them. It's us and them. Is it basically you and them, and then the rest of the people are just cannon fodder? Just like,
yeah. No one else was relevant.
Yeah.
Right. Like no one else, in my mind, no one else is relevant, but you got to understand, man, like I'm a nerd about this sport. I love it.
Yeah.
I've loved it from the time, and Rich was Michael Jordan to me, and he always will be of this sport. So when I came in, he lost to Graham in 2010. Then I was like, oh man, I want to throw down with these guys and be a part of that. I watched him win in 2011, and I watched everything about the dude in between the time, you know what I mean? So like, I knew how he trained. I knew how he moved. I knew how people that followed him moved. And so I was like, cool. What I want to do is put together a team that doesn't move like that. I want to put together a team that actually sprints and goes fast. So typically Rich is very methodical, and you can't keep up with him because he's so technically proficient. He never slows. So the only way that we could put together a team is I needed to have people that were willing to suffer way more than they were going to be willing to suffer, because we had to find our advantage in the margins of workouts. So in transitions, you know, we weren't just going to do 20 thrusters. We had to do 20 thrusters as fast as we could, and 50 GHD sit-ups as fast as we could. Not the sexy, steady, never slowing. Like, yes, we weren't going to slow, but also we needed to go fast. So when I thought about, you know, how we trained and what we did, like that was our psychological like challenge every day, was move with speed and aggressiveness because that was the only way we had a chance. So we certainly knew what they were capable of. I mean, down to the, like, I had these matchups. I matched up our 6 against their 6. Who would go against who if they asked that of us? Because in 2012, we won the CrossFit Games. We were killing everyone. And then Dave reset everybody at 0. And then we all had to do a girl workout. And whoever won that final workout won the CrossFit Games. And I was like, if this happens, how are we going to play this out? Who's doing what workout? What if the workouts are different? Whose strengths and weaknesses line up? Like I geek out on the stuff, man, because, you know, I remember that's how I played football too, right? Like I watched more film than my peers. I paid attention to the details. And that's the same way I attack CrossFit.
So the games start, and it's the 2017 games, and it starts. And can you kind of walk me through the week?
Yeah,
how many workouts is it?
I don't remember, sadly.
And that's okay. And so right off the bat, you guys have a good lead. Does it come down to the final workout?
We don't have a good lead. They start beating us on a run swim run, but we got like 5th, so I knew it was great, right? Because I knew that they ran a good bit, and that they swam pretty phenomenally, and we had 2 very weak swimmers on our team. So for us to fare that well, I was like, cool, we got this. But before the competition even started, man, there was some psychological stuff that was going on where we got to demo an obstacle course. Okay. And during the demo of this obstacle course, there were some very emotional.
Dave took the teams out there and said, okay, guys, play with the equipment because this is coming up.
Yep.
Okay.
So Dave took the teams out. We got to run at it. And there were some emotions on the floor for their team. And then, specifically, I'm talking about mayhem. And I pulled our team together. And I let them know and recognize that when the pressure is high, they will struggle.
Oh, so you saw a chink in their armor, even just like warming up, like you saw like someone complaining or something, and you're like,
100%.
There. Okay,
100%.
Okay.
And
you pointed out to your team their weakness.
Yeah, and it's like here's what I always understand too is like, guess what, Savon, if I was on Rich's team, you know how tight my butthole would be every time I went up to line up for a lift, bro, because of how afraid I'd be to let him down.
Right.
So, do you think that I knew that they felt that pressure? 100%. Right. So I felt like if we could even be close to them through the weekend, that it would create because they're
not only losing, but they're letting Rich down. So they got to keep their head on a swivel. They're looking at the scoreboard and they're looking at their leader. Like
that's 100% true.
Yeah.
And it's almost every day in every life. If you have a boss and you're like not performing well, you look at the boss, you're like, is he going to let me go right now? So it's just like these natural things that happen psychologically. I was very aware of, but nonetheless, we do this run through and there's emotion even before we compete, like no pressure. And something didn't go well. And you physically see emotion, tears, crying. And I'm like, oh, that is not good. Right. And what I'd always hoped to foster is like, even though if I'm the leader of this team, if something ain't going good and there's no number by it, it doesn't matter. Like, chill out. Who cares? Like, let that go. It's not embarrassing to me. It's not embarrassing to our team. You're going to step up and you're going to thrive when it's game time.
Right.
And so anyways, there seemed to be a gap there for them. And we start with the run, swim, run, and we kind of stay close there. And then I think we had a really bad finish in an Amanda style workout where we did squat snatches and ring muscle ups. Like the men on our team, we got several no reps. The rings were swinging. We got behind. I think we got like a 20. Man, it might have been like 23rd or something place, like bad. But then our females killed it and got like a top 5 finish, I think. So it kind of balanced it out. And after we got through those 2 tests relatively unscathed, I knew that anytime we had the worm, we had to win. Like we had to beat them. And so that was our next focus. And I also knew that anything with Big Bob, when it came to straight work capacity, no skills, high output, that we could win all of those events as well. So we just really had to handle business and staying close in the workouts that didn't involve the worm and the Big Bob. And we had to win those events that did.
Oh, I can't even believe there's a leaderboard here. This is awesome. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, the second event, you got a 26th and they got a 5th. Oh, that hurts.
There you go. But then look what the women did for us. So that was the difference maker.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. On the next one. Okay. You got a 1st, they got a 7th. Okay. And you knew that going in that you had chosen great women.
They were they're the fittest 3 women that ever competed on a team together. Not even
Oh, I
close.
love it. I love it. Wow. And then you come down to so when you go into the final event, oh my goodness, listen, the fourth to last event, you got a first, they got a second. The third to last event, you got a first, they got a second. The second to last event, they got a third, you got a second. The last event, you got a third, they got a second. So you didn't let them put any room. You
Right,
made it
yeah. Now
miserable for them.
going
Man,
into
they
the
must be like, "What the fuck? We're doing everything we can."
yeah. And in respect to Rich, he literally approached me, like after I think it might have been the worm rotation row or the burpee litter. It was the burpee litter workout. Because they edged us out in that. And if you should go back and watch this video.
Yeah.
So throughout the whole CrossFit Games in the history of team sports, Savon, the person that wears the chip had to be the last person to cross the finish line. Okay.
Yep,
Up until this point.
Yep.
Rich wore the chip for his team. There was a girl that wore the chip for our team. And I'm lagging back, or maybe I wore the chip. I forget. Either way, it was a mistake. This was on me. I take this. We led them and we were winning. I slowed down to make sure someone passed me on my team because I knew all 6 members had to be past the finish line. Then I ran past the finish line.
Right.
Rich sprinted and left everyone else in the dust on his team to cross the finish line. But we'd never seen that before. We'd never seen up until that point that everyone had to be on the finish line. Then the chip timer went on the finish line.
Right.
So that was a really silly assumption that I made, I guess. And immediately Rich comes, like he sprints past and then starts pointing over to me with it, and he's pointing at his chip. Like, I got the chip, and I was like, no. Like, I'm like yelling across the floor, nah, that's BS. Like, that doesn't count. And I'm looking at Dave and I'm like, my hands are up in the air. Like, what's going on here?
I think I remember this. Yes.
So it was funny. And that was like the most emotional moment I had of the whole weekend. But
and they didn't beat you by exactly 1 second, which would you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it really chafed me.
You would have just run across instead of waiting for your team, it would have stopped.
Oh, bro. I was so upset about that. But after that event, though, that's when Rich came up to me and he was like, "Hey, man, you guys got to really fit 6." And I think it was then, like, he kind of knew there wasn't much they could do at that point because they cut down to 10 teams for the final. And so we knew all we had to do while we're out there is we're just going to stay close to these guys on the final.
Oh, yeah.
And I literally told our team to take the floor and enjoy the moment.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. So it was cool.
Wow. In CrossFit OC3 beat Rich's team in that workout by a minute. Holy shit.
Yeah, they're
the only 2 that finished.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why does the team break up? Do you guys know going into that season, hey, this is only a 1-year thing?
Yeah, we did.
Oh,
we did. So I think that's part of the reason that we were able to do it is because we had that mindset. It was like, go big or go home, win or nothing. I mean, and we talked about that a lot. We put pressure on ourselves intentionally that way. We had shirts made that said "Stop the Mayhem," #Stop the Mayhem. I don't know if you remember this. Jason Kalipa wrote on his wall, "What's Rich doing?" Right?
Yeah,
and then Rich made the whole programming based off of that. Well, some of the guys at Brute Strength initially, when we started this thing, I think it was Mike Kaziu, he he made shirts that say "What's Rich doing?" and crossed it out, and then it said #Stop the Mayhem.
Oh yeah, I like it.
So it was again a fun deal that we had that put pressure on us, and publicly, of course, it was on social media, and so people were giving us a hard time. How dare them challenge the champ and all this? So it made it all that much more sweet. But
good drama.
Yeah, it was very good drama, man. But it was the year that we snuck in and upset the world and shocked the world. So it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot, that's for sure.
Did you consider staying together? The next year they beat Invictus by 112 points.
I know, but they went to 4 teams, four team members as well, right? And so that final year, Savon, my son was born like a month before regionals. I didn't really want to compete anymore seriously once I started having a family, just because of psychologically the way I would approach training, the way I would approach programming and staying in contact with my teammates. Like, it was a piece of me that was there doing the thing. I wanted to be all in. And so when my son was born and we started our family, I wanted to take more of my time and my availability to coaching and creating a lifestyle that was going to help support, my time with him, to be honest, right? Like, I'd always gotten advice about, when you got kids when they're young, man, you got to steal their time and abuse their time. And I I try to do that as much as I could. But like I mentioned to you, man, we were all 6 of us were in it for that 1 year. And, you know, Michaela North was pregnant at the CrossFit Games that year, and she didn't find out till after they were
Wow.
done.
Wow.
Yeah. So that she was about to have her 3rd child. Tiffany Hendrickson already had 3 children. So it was for all of us, it was just time and place to be packing it up.
Do you like what you did this year at the games? Do you like being part of the broadcast team?
Oh, now what I did this year at the games, not my favorite. I did interviews.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind interviews. I love being down there with you and the other guys and like rubbing shoulders in the warm up area.
Yeah.
Like that stuff I love. I'd love to do that, but then
Yeah.
I'd love to still be able to hop on the mic and do like commentary.
Like live commentary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Commentary or like a desk show where I get to share my thoughts about the athletes. That's what really fills my cup is like making predictions and doing things about, you know, their performance and breaking that down. Like I love that stuff. You know, if you can't tell them, I geek out on it. It's the same reason that I know so much about the way teams train and the way they prepare and how we were going to find victory in the margins and all that kind of good stuff is because, you know, I'm a student of the game. So I do love it. And I'm actually getting ready to commentate Rogue. So
you are commentating Rogue? Who are you
Yep.
doing that with? You and
Sean
who are you doing?
Woodland.
Wow.
And I did that last year. So this is my 2nd year.
Wow, that's awesome. Have you ever commentated the games?
No. So I got it. So the first opportunity.
By the way, that didn't mean to shit on you, by the way. Commentating Rogue is crazy honor. I didn't mean it to those questions to be back to back, to be juxtapositioned.
Like no, that. I get it, man. You're saying like I'm just nothing. You know what I'm saying? Basically. I get it. I totally get it. No, listen, my
listen, dude, working for Bill and Katie's like working for fucking being on the team with Rich. Your butthole better be tight.
Oh, you already know.
Yeah, those guys are serious as a heart attack. So
serious as a heart attack.
Commentating Rogue's the A team.
Yeah, look at what they've built, man. And I went in last year completely naive, man. And I say that because my whole involvement on the media side of this was that Chase Ingram invited me to do some podcasting with him on the CrossFit Games podcast. He was just like, "Hey, man, I know you know some stuff about the sport. Come help me recap a couple events." And we did this through the year of like 2021. Like we like recapped Rogue and recapped Wadapalooza, some random stuff on the CrossFit Games podcast. And then they invited me to commentate at the Atlas Games in Canada that year. So this is before the 2022 CrossFit Games. That was my first and only experience commentating. The first night wraps, and I was getting calls from some of the producers, people that I don't know who they are, people that oversee certain media stuff at CrossFit. I don't know who they are. And they're like, "Hey, great job. You know, if you like this stuff, stick with it, learn the craft, and, you know, maybe more opportunities will appear." And I was like, awesome. I loved it. And I did get invited to participate in the games that year. And I was on a desk show called Day at the Games with Tommy Marquez and Annie Sakamoto. So that's not commentary. That's when we're like out on the field before and after the events. Recap.
That's 2022 now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
2022. And then after the games are wrapping, Katie kind of gave me the nudge and was like, "Hey, do you know, maybe keep some dates open in October?" Because we ran into each other in the back. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I was so ignorant. I was like, "Wait, what's in October?" In my head, I'm like, "Wait, what's in October?" But I know she said it to me, so I'm like, I'm gonna keep some dates open in October.
Yeah. Whatever it is.
That's
Camping trip, serve you sandwiches. You know what I mean? Put some gym equipment together. I'm there, Katie.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
So I looked up and I was like, okay, that's when the Rogue Invitational is. And I pieced together, because of course I'd watched it every year and knew everything about it. I just didn't know when and where it was at the time. So I get the call to go there and do the commentary. Before that, last year, my only experience doing commentary work was at the Atlas Games, because it was so different at the games. Right. So anyways, I got on the game and did the deal for the Rogue Invitational last year, which was a huge honor. And I loved every moment of it. I love that competition from start to finish, and the way they put it all together. It's ridiculous.
If and Sean knows his shit, he's easy just to assimilate with, right? He's smooth operator.
He's so smooth, man. He's so smooth and so professional, and he is so good at what he does and understanding timing and placement and when to get up and get loud and when to sit down and be calm. And so I try to pick up on so much of that stuff. I take notes constantly because I'm a rookie at this, man. I know nothing except I know the sport. I do know the sport. So that's the only thing that gives me comfort, is that like, I know the sport. I just need to know how to help you feel like you know more about the sport, Savan, right? But also you, and also the person who's brand new to CrossFit that doesn't know what a thruster is,
Right.
right?
Of
So there's
course.
that fine balance of trying to bring like that level one kernel to commentary, and also this expert level of like geek out knowledge to commentary. So I'm still working on refining that, man. But yeah, I'm getting ready to go and do it this year, again at Rogue. But my role at the games this year was very different. Now I will say I got to flex my commentary muscles for one day because Chase had the
Oh,
he had the raspy voice, man. So
right.
he was sick a little bit, went down on the IR, and I got to come in. So I got to cover the that interval workout, if you remember that, at the games. So I just ran up and stood in his place with Sean during the interval workout, the out and back with the rower, burpee, box jump overs, and box jump overs, and then the clean and jerk event that night.
You also got to at the semifinals, which what I thought was absolutely fascinating, and work with Jason. You and Jason
Oh
did
yeah.
that was a trip watching you two go together. That may have been the most enjoyable commentary I've ever heard for any sport. Maybe because I like both you guys too, but that was nuts. And you kind of let him control the energy. And when he took it through the roof, you just got up there with him. Was that weird at first? Were you like, what the fuck's this guy doing? Like, I mean, no one brings that energy to any sports commentating. It was like nut. And I'm like, fuck, Adrian's going to get up there with him.
Oh yeah. No,
Like, you guys sung a duet. I was like, "What the hell is going on here?"
no, that was some of the most fun that I've had, and it was because of how loose we could be, right? The
Yeah.
freedom there to let because
You guys were
Jason's
out of your
Jason.
seats kind of, like,
Oh, we were the whole
back
time, bro.
slapping each other and shit, and like
The whole time, the
yeah,
whole time.
yeah.
And I think, of course, that energy one carries into the spectatorship. So hopefully down the road in different places, those activations are going to have some really cool,
Dude,
valuable
it was
experiences, I think.
amazing. It was amazing. People were going nuts
Oh,
in the
I'm so
comments.
glad
Yeah,
that they enjoyed
yeah,
it. But you
yeah.
know, Jason Savant, Jason is, he rolls out of bed and that's just the energy that he has,
Were
right?
you
Like
nervous that it
all
was
the time.
going that way, that it was getting too loose and too wild? Were you like, "Wow,
No,
this is some vulnerable shit"?
no,
No,
because
you were good with it.
and here's here's the reason I'll say that is because they were like, hey, this isn't broadcast.
Yeah.
Like this should be like a podcast, like you guys hanging out. And I've watched the Manning cast enough, right? I've watched these other, the Shop, LeBron show on Thursday Night Football. Like I've seen people do this, and they're just kind of kicked back, talking what they want to talk. Yes, trying to bring still value to what's on the screen competition wise, but being more relevant to the audience. So I really love that, and I'd love to do that and then engage with the people watching and in the chat. Like that's the fun stuff right there for me.
I think you are the most in the space. You're probably one of the most natural. You're it's bizarre to me to think that was your first. Last year at Rogue was your first besides Atlas Games. It's nuts. Yeah, you're natural. You're made for this. Whatever you've done building up to this, yeah, you're doing it. Probably all that L1 training. Did you give lectures at? You do lectures at the L1?
Oh yeah, oh
What are
yeah.
your lectures? What were your lectures?
What is CrossFit, nutrition, programming, all the movements, everything. I still haven't given what is fitness, and I still haven't given technique and intensity. Everything else I give.
So you've never had a real. You never worked at like McDonald's. You never had a real job.
Never.
Never.
I
Never worked at
the
Starbucks or like you were a
never,
server. Nothing.
never.
Never was a phone call operator. Never did. No.
No. Parents told me that when I was in high school, as long as I was in sports, that I didn't have to work.
Yeah.
So they'd give me enough money to go see the movie or put some gas in the car to drive to my friend's house, but that I didn't have to work, and so I didn't. And then I went to college right away to go play college football. And the only technical real job that I had was one summer. I was a teacher's aide for kids in the summer that were getting in trouble during the school year that needed to go back to get some more grade stuff and
What was the
involved in that.
class? What was the subject?
Well, it was just elementary school.
Mm.
So these kids were third graders.
They were so bad in the 3rd grade that they had to go to summer school?
Yep. And it was predominantly Hispanic neighborhood here in Ogden, Utah. So it was quite the experience. I learned a lot there too.
What are you? What ethnicities are you?
I'm half black, half white. My mom is black, my dad is white, and because my father didn't know his father, it turns out that I am also Hispanic. My dad's last name was Hernandez.
So when you say, what did your dad look like? Did he look like he was Latin?
He looked like a tan white boy. Yeah, he was pretty dark skinned. I'd say his complexion was just a little bit lighter than yours. But if he was in the sun, man, it was he would brown very well.
And your mom, do you know where she's from? Like, do you know where she no, you how
No,
you no, as far as you know, her people, you don't know when her people came to the United States of America.
I do not.
Yeah, it's interesting. Lately, it's been crazy. I I've I always have tripped, and I don't know why more people don't trip. I've always tripped on Mexican because I should probably Google it and do some research and become a fucking scholar in it. But like probably 400 years ago, there was no such thing as a Mexican, right? There were
Mm,
fucking Native Americans there who were probably some descendants of Chinese, right? Little Chinese people. They came here. They were here long enough. They started getting darker and darker and looking more like well, whatever Aztecs and shit. And then the Spaniards came. Some Europeans came and had sex with them, and that's our and then they got their own name, Mexican. That's not even like 300 or 400 years old. They're like brand new to the planet.
brand
Whereas
new.
like whereas like my tribe, Armenian, those fuckers been inbreeding on some mountainside forever, you know?
Yep.
And the reason why it's kind of popped in my head is because I'm trying to figure out where these Palestinian people came from. I'm like, are are they new? Are them and the Jews the same people? Are they
Mm,
like I'm reading this book about gangs in the Bay Area, and the Norteños and Sureños, and they're both Mexican. We already know that's not very old, a couple 100 years old. But one of them were like farming Mexicans, and one of them were city Mexicans, and they broke off into two rival gangs. I'm
mm.
like, fuck, is that what's going on in Gaza? They're all just Jews, but they just fucking broke off into their factions, and now they're fighting. Like, do we learn nothing? It's like the same pattern over and over, just everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah. So I'm always curious where people come from. Do you think that as a Christian, do you ever think back, "Oh, it's just, there were just 2 people, it was just Adam and Eve, and we all come from them?" Like, there had to be some incest, like, we're all just from those 2 people?
Yeah, I do.
That's how you think of it,
Yep.
and then we multiplied.
Yep. Then we multiply.
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it?
It's very
We're
wild.
all it kinda makes so much of, like, the familial stuff irrelevant if those are all if if Adam and Eve are the great, 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 grandfather and mother. They would be very disappointed if they saw us fighting like this.
Oh
No
yeah.
no one
I
wants
mean,
to see their kids fight. No one wants to see their kids fight.
no, and it even goes
Disgusting.
further beyond Adam and Eve. It's like the God thing. If you perceive God as a father
Yeah.
and he is the creator and allowed whatever he did
Mhm.
to spawn life and create life and multiply life, like how heartbroken he would be over the things that we've been doing since the beginning of time, man. Time after time. Man in itself is always filled with selfishness and greed. And um, when we don't have any governor or anything that we look to as a higher power to guide our choices, and it can't just be anything, right? Because clearly there are people who are willing to die and kill for their gods,
Right, right.
right? And so because of that, that's where we get a lot of the war that we see.
I appreciate you coming on, dude. Great to chat with you. You are I suspect I would love to have you on again and get to know you more. I suspect you're a Renaissance man, and we didn't even scratch the surface. I love it. The thing is, uh, you have the supplement company, you're an L1 trainer, you're a father, you're a commentator. Like I feel like we live similar lives. Put our head down, work, keep putting cookies in the oven, in every oven we see, and eventually some come out good. You know what I mean? Wherever we are, or irons in the fire, or cookies in the oven. Yeah, you're a good dude, man.
I appreciate it, bro. I'm glad you
Yeah,
had me on, man. It's fun. It's fun chatting with you.
yeah, you're a good dude in this space. The space is lucky to have you.
Oh man, that's very encouraging. I appreciate you saying that about me. Are you going to Rogue? Are you doing
I'm
anything over?
I'm gonna do it from here.
Okay.
I'm gonna watch all the events, and as soon as they turn their cameras off, I'm gonna try to milk their viewers,
Hey, I know the
and
game. I know
and
the
then
game.
try to seduce Katie to come on every single night, and share some of her star power with my station, and ask her some questions, bug her, irritate her.
Whatever you can to produce value. Listen,
Yeah,
value.
yeah,
But real
yeah,
quick, Savon, before
yeah.
I leave, how epic is the showdown that's about to go down at Rogue? That's the thing. Tia coming back, Laura having a chip on her shoulder, trying to defend and rightfully justify her title as fittest on earth, right? Like she's feeling all that. Oh, I just can't. Roman, Jeff, come on.
Let me ask you this then. People just keep saying to me, so on one hand, I'm hearing, um, uh, Tia's just coming to see what she needs to work on for the games. And then other
False.
people are like, "Dude, you're a fucking idiot." I'm like, "What do
Yeah.
you mean?" They're like, "You never played sports, did you?" I'm like, "Uh-uh. I ate cookies at home." They're like, "That bitch ain't coming back to except to fucking eat women and children and tear shit down." It's like, that's a champion. She doesn't do anything to test anything. She's gonna come out there breathing fire. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%, I agree with
Sh
it. Go listen to the Talking Elite Fitness podcast. She says, when I compete, I have a job to do, and
uh,
it's to win." So
yeah,
she perceives this. She's on a different level, man, and you
yeah.
can't say that unless you've won multiple titles, right? But
Oh,
she
yeah, I can't even fathom her. What
right.
goes through
So
her
she
mind, yeah.
shows up for one thing. It's not to compete, it's not to learn, it's to win. That's her job. And she identifies that as her job. So will she learn? Absolutely. But will she be there to learn and experience? No, not at all. She'll be there to win that large purse and to take home, first place. She didn't get to compete last year, right? She sat out.
Yeah, yeah.
So Laura took it. She watched Laura win the CrossFit Games. Oh, she ain't showing up just to knock off the rust.
And Laura's as fierce as they come.
Absolutely, she is. Which only leads me to believe that we are going to see one of the greatest matchups, like getting the best out of these
Mhm,
women. Now, I know
mhm.
Tia still hasn't had the time to really be at the peak of her physical prowess, but from a psychological and an emotional standpoint, these women are going to be tuned in, like top level, tuned in, given all they got all the time. Because the way Laura is wired, and I'm just looking from the outside in, man. She don't hop on no podcasts I got. I don't see her hopping on all kinds of podcasts right here. Like, have you had her on an episode yet?
I had her on once, and then when I text her again to see if she'd come on again, she goes, who is this?" She
There you
said,
go.
"How did you get my number?"
There you go.
That's how she responds. I'm like, "Laura, will you come on my podcast? How did you get my number?"
I love it. I love it. But I think that says a lot about her focus and her tenacity. And you see it.
Yeah,
You see it on social media. You see it on the competition floor.
yeah.
She's gonna have a chip on her shoulder, man. She's the fittest woman in the world, and rightly so. Like, she earned that title. But for her personally, do you think that she really owns that with Tia's absence? Like, I think she wants an opportunity to prove it
Yeah,
with
yeah, yeah, yeah.
with everybody out
Yeah.
there.
No matter how whether she's scared or not scared, she's completely embraced the moment. She's ready to just throw a brick on the gas pedal and ram Tia as hard as she can. Yeah,
Just like a true champ should. Yep,
yeah,
that's right.
2 Rams are gonna battle. Who do you think wins?
I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna leave that up in the air. And
I think Laura wins. I think
okay.
Laura wins, and it goes into the games as I think we get 2 of the biggest showdowns in the history of no, not 2 of the biggest, the 2 biggest showdowns in the history of the sport. This row will be the biggest showdown. I think you're right. I don't think that's, hyperbole. This is the biggest showdown ever, and I think at the games we'll get the other one. Why can't you tell me who you pick? Because you think it's unprofessional because 'cause you're the commentator?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that it's better for me to cover it with a neutral perspective. Now I'll tell you who I think
yeah,
is favored in every test. I'll tell you who I think, once information comes out, I'll make like, hey, so and so should do good here and so and so should not do good here. But
yeah.
from a covering perspective, I'll save it. I'll save most of my, opinions until after it's done. Or hey, if you ever had me on and I'm not covering an event, I'd love to give you my picks and in what order.
Yeah. How about let me just push you a little bit further. People are gonna yell at me in the comments for pushing you. If Laura wins, um, if Tia wins, people are gonna be like, "Yeah, Tia would have won the games." If Laura wins, people are still gonna say Tia, wasn't 100%, and that's why I think that it's that's why I mean, I think Laura's gonna win, and I want Laura to win so that we can continue the drama and the pressure and the interest in the sport. Do you like that narrative? You d let me not that I'm saying you're gonna pick who's gonna win, but do
No,
you like the narrative that Laura wins and then we get to see another showdown at the games? Do you like that?
I think it could be very cool, man. I think it could be very cool. And don't listen, you don't got to worry about pushing me because I'm gonna stay right where I'm at. But
Okay.
I won't make a pick, but I will say that if Laura wins, it only brings more question and more of a reason for us to stay really, really closely tied to the storyline throughout the season. If Tia wins, then the people just kind of lay off and they're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, see, we told you, right? But the beauty is that we don't know and we can't wait to find out here just in a couple weeks.
Let me show you something else. Um,
Uh-oh.
Let me show you this. Why is Laura what is Laura doing with her social media here? Let me show you this. this, she did, posting this. What is this is a week ago. Like, she knows the chatter, right? She knows the chatter that, hey, man, like, she might be the greatest ever, but she got a hole so big that it's like, we're never gonna know. Is this her? Like, is this for us? Is this for her? Why post this?
I
Have any
think she
thoughts on the
yeah, I do think it's for the viewers, but I think that there's some momentum that you can build personally. Like, here, let me show you. Like, let me
Yeah,
show you what I'm capable of. And then when she takes that in her mind, it's going to justify and or prepare her or put more pressure on her when it's time to perform. And I like to see this because
me
what
too.
it does for us is to speculate, right? We speculate, well, maybe if they did the dumbbell snatch with strict handstand push-up workout again, the snatch and press workout for a third time, maybe she'd nail it. But here's also what I'll tell you, Swan, is last year she told Kiki Dixon before she took the floor that she was going to do all 27 this year, last year, and she didn't. Parallel strict handstand push-ups, right? So when I see posts like this, I'm like, cool, show me when it counts, because in training, none of the reps count.
Mm,
So I can't wait. And
yeah,
I hope they're there. And I hope she kicks us all in the face with her ability to be upside down. I
good.
hope
Me,
so.
me too. Me too. Okay, one more question about the games. You think Rich ever competes again?
Like as a in the age group,
Yeah, just anywhere. You think he ever competes in CrossFit again on the big stage, whether it's team, age group?
I think he would. I think
Yeah.
he would. Yeah, I think he would. I
He
think,
he would or he wants to? You think he'll get the itch again?
man, it's such a strange thing. I think there's a blend of things that he's got to consider, right? Like relevancy within the space, timing, what they want to do with his company and his brand. I mean, he's built such an amazing thing that he's got to make business choices, even if he doesn't want to. Sometimes to be like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and get involved here to keep my relevancy, to show people that I can still do it, to make them want to do what I'm doing in training. Because as we continue to progress through the years, um, like without his relevancy on the team side, for example, individual so long ago, it's like if he's not going to be the coach to some of these athletes, which I think he's publicly said several times, he's like, I'm not really a coach, I'm more like a training partner, and I guide them, right? I guide them. If he doesn't want to be in the thick of it with some of these athletes that he's bringing up, I think his best way to stay relevant is through his training and competing if it's possible. So if he wants it, I know his kids are getting older too, so soon, it won't be so cool to just hang around with him all the time as I'm sure he loves to do. But sometimes as the kids start to get older, you gotta get back in the gym and start grounding with the youth a little more.
Would you say him and Dave are the two most relevant people in the space? They've held their relevancy the longest? Dave Castro and Rich Froning?
Yes. And I say that because, Annie Thorsauer comes to my mind immediately as well,
Right, right. Yep, fair, fair. I put her up there too. Yep, yep.
but different, right? Different. Rich, there was always something special about Rich that like we couldn't. I mean, I still can't really nail, right? Presence, attitude. It's not like Rich gets on here and tries to be smart or tries to be something he's not. He's just authentic. And I think that you feel that authenticity. He's comfortable in his own skin, but the way he trained and moved, it's just like women wanted to be with him, men wanted to be like him, right? And
Yeah, yeah.
that's the amazing combination for any strong influence in any space, whether we like it or not from a worldly perspective. If the women want to be with you, guess what they're going to want to do? They're going to want to get their husband looking like you because they can't be
Yeah.
with you. So they're going to follow the program, buy the clothes, buy the hats. And the men that want to be like you, they're going to double down. They're coming to the training with Rich. They're coming to they're doing it.
Yeah.
And so that, to me, that's why he's Michael Jordan, is because of that influence. It's very unique. Matt Frazier, to me, is the fittest male in history.
Yep.
And we could have different discussions centered around this, of course. And I know Rich is your boy, so I'll tread lightly. Rich is my boy.
The thing is I think Matt's already about to experience what have you done for me lately. And
100%.
that's just sports. I don't mean that in any derogatory way, but there's already people Mal O'Brien probably didn't if Rich wouldn't have done team, she'd have no idea who he is. That's how long ago it is that he won individual. But this fucking guy has stayed relevant for so long. But you will turn into a what have you done for me lately? And somehow him as an athlete and Dave as the Dana White as the promoter, they've just stayed so fucking relevant forever. It's kind of nuts.
Yeah. And I will say this selfishly about Rich Swan.
Yeah.
I hope that he does masters. And I say that because of with the shift and the change in the
Mm,
sport right
mhm,
now, right? Like, hey, they ain't gonna get to throw down where the indies and teams throw down, right?
mm.
We know that.
Right.
I'd love to see it because I know where the eyes go and I
Yeah.
know where the audience goes. And it's unfair to ask that of him, like be like, oh, Rich should do that. I'm not
Hey, it
saying
would
that.
double it. It would double it.
Oh, you
It
know it.
would double it.
And you know it, and he
Double
knows
it.
it too.
Yep.
But
Yep.
right, like that's
Yep.
heavy wears the crown. So then he's
Yep.
got to think, well, do I want to do that to be a good sport for everybody and help the sport? But also I don't want to lose. So I know what that looks like training wise for me because he obsesses, right? So if he
Yeah.
decides he's going to do it, he's going to go do it and go win it.
Yeah.
So that's the fine line for Rich. But yeah, I'd love to see some of these. I think about the people who have started to age up, the Dan Baileys, the Graham Holmbergs, the Rich Fronings, the Scott Panchiks. I know Sam Dancer said he's going to go ahead and do Indy and try to do Indy again to go back to the games. But I'd love to easy like all the guys that have this renowned awareness socially about them and have kind of been steadfast throughout the years. I think it would really help continue to push masters into the space that aren't masters already, like that aren't even competing yet. Right. Like, so we're talking the 35s, the 40 and the 45-year-olds that are still like, man, I think I do want to try the CrossFit thing because I want to look like Rich when I'm 40. You know what I'm saying?
Right. All right, brother. Thank you so
I do.
much.
Hey,
Look forward to
thank
having you on again already.
Likewise, my man.
Okay. Have a great day.
Peace out.
Ladies and gentlemen, Adrian Conway. Wow. That was cool. What a cool dude. What an easy guy. Holy shit. I'm going to throw him on maybe the Mount Rushmore of easy podcast. Maybe when I travel, it's like I do him, Josh Bridges, and Jason Khalipa. Just back to back to back. And Rich, four in a row, the four easiest people you could ever have on. My God. It was easy. I got to do something really quick. I got to find out what's going on inside the house. Yeah, he's a model. I had some modeling photos of him that I didn't even get to. Yeah, he's a model. He was on the cover of this novel. I couldn't tell if it was a sex novel or what. But yeah, he's quite the looker.
Hello, you've reached Haley.
Son of a bitch. Justin V, one step closer to Jesus. Oh, all right, if you say so. I could call Laura. I'm thinking about calling Laura. I'm thinking about, should I text Laura or call Laura? I'd call Laura right now. I'm feeling fucking top of the world. Fuck you. I do what I want to do. What is this? Oh man. Okay. Let me see. Yeah, thanks, David. Thanks. You're a good dude. That means you think I should call her? Too soon? No. It's not too soon to call Laura. It's been a while. I like all the angles. David with the popcorn, someone else telling me too soon. I bet you don't call her. That one kind of works on me. I'm kind of simple like that. um uh Oh, it looks like wow. It looks like looks like Brian's coming on the 24th to do a rogue show. That's cool. What do you think I should call Laura? Let me see if I have her let me see. What am I going to say to her? Hey, will you come on my show? Last time I got so much fucking hate when I called her. I'm not from her. You think she's in the States yet? Laura, what country is she from? Hungary? Let me see what time it is there real quick. Let me just show some. Hungary. What time is it in Hungary? That's what she's Hungarian. What time is it in Hungary? 5:48, perfect time. I can't act like a jackass either. I have to be last time I acted like such a pussy. This time I have to kind of be cool, like more suave. Okay. Oh, my mouth's getting dry. Ooh, I felt my heartbeat rate spike a little bit. No, it's 5:48. 5:48 in Hungary. What time is it in Hungary? 5:48. Oh, she is in Virginia with Ben? All right. All right. Hey, I'm not even going to, I'm not even going to, I'm not even gonna, like, ask her to come on the show. I'm just gonna start interviewing her. Oh, shit, really? Someone just texted me, said, "Do not call her." Uh, uh, oh, no, that's fine. That's fine. That's good. It's fine. Let me see. I'm calling her. It's fine. Listen, listen. You got to call. You just sometimes you got to just live life on the edge. Okay, let's call. Here we go. Here we go, people. Here we go. What if Laura and I already have this all planned out? I'm like, hey, make this exciting. Just talk shit to me and then hang up on me. What if it's all planned out? Deep breaths, heavy deep breaths. It's got that European ring. She just texted me, fuck off, dwarf. Damn, that's harsh. No answering machine? Nothing? Can't even hear her voice? Damn. Oh. Let me see. Hi, it's Sevon. Will you please come on the podcast for a few minutes someday soon? All right. I think that's nice. That's sweet. One of my friends said, "Hey, dude, it makes me so nervous when you call Laura that I minimize the YouTube screen." That's how I feel. That's how I feel when people tell me their parents died. I just want to fucking run away. I don't even know how to fucking process that. No. That doesn't happen. No one's parents die. What are you talking about? All right. I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing today. Haley. I hear the dog outside. I got to call my wife one more time. I want to hang out with you guys a little bit, but Avi was acting weird last night, like rubbing his eye a lot. I don't know if he has pink eye or not. Where the fuck is Caleb? I should call Caleb. I thought Caleb was going to be here every day now.
Hello, you've reached Haley. Leave a message.
All right. Well, I'm going inside. Oh, I should tell you guys who's on tomorrow, right? What's today? So we had Adrian Conway today. That was great. Oh, so tomorrow morning, listen to this. Wow, tomorrow morning show is crazy. Tomorrow morning we have Jason Hopper. Tomorrow Jason Hopper and Andrew Hiller will be on in the morning. And then at the halfway mark of the show, Hunter McIntyre is going to come on. I don't know what's going to happen to Jason. I don't know if Jason's going to stay on or not. But that's a lot of meat. Hiller, Hopper, and Hunter. That's a lot of meat. And then Shut Up and Scribble with, Taylor Self and J.R. Howell. You know what? I think that, somehow Caleb got sucked back up into the military thing. And then on Friday, we have a B-Boy Gravity on. That's the guy he works at the, monkey camp with, Durante. Power Monkey camp. Yeah, Power Monkey. All right. Thanks, guys. I got nothing. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Great show with Adrian Conway. Adrian, thanks for coming on, and I will talk to all of you guys soon. Oh, the behind the scenes is coming along great. Um, Two Brain Business has been so crazy helpful in helping us get resources to get the behind the scenes moving along. I have seen some incredible clips from there. Some really, really funny shit. So there's that. That's the update on the behind the scenes.